Welcome back to the channel Gadgets for Gentlemen. In this video, a very quick first impression comparison between the Mac Mini M2 that I have here on the left and the Mac Mini M4. Both of these devices are the very base models. So in this video, not a whole lot of technical stuff, just to show you the differences in terms of the dimensions of these two devices and in terms of the hardware, connections and the ports that you can find on the devices. So I wanted to show you just from a very average Mac user myself, what are some differences to look for. So let's get started. This is the Mac Mini M2, and what I can notice already when I'm holding this box, the Mac Mini M2 is actually, it's quite heavy. Now let me flip it over carefully and here we can read some of the specs. Mac Mini M2, and it has 8 gigabytes of RAM, storage 256 gigabytes. This version features a 8-core CPU, 10-core GPU. The weight is 1.2 kilograms. And this is just overall a very nice box. It reads Mac Mini. And let's proceed with the new version. Here it reads Mac on one end and Mini on the other side. Other than that, we have the same top, as you can see. Now, when I carefully flip the box, we can see that this base model features 16 gigabytes of RAM. We have the same amount of storage, 256 gigabytes, and this version deals with the M4 chip. Now, this time around, we have a 10-core CPU and 10-core GPU. This device only weighs 0.67 kilos. So the M4 is almost half the weight, which my first impression is, for example, if you get yourself a very nice cover for the M4, it will be actually a great thing to carry around. And when you go from place A to B, you just plug it in with an HDMI cable, you plug in the power cable, and you are ready to go. We can already see right here, for example, the difference in terms of dimensions. They managed to cut away a whole lot of size from this device without giving in power. Actually, this device is much more powerful, and I don't even know how much more powerful, honestly. I read somewhere it's like twice as powerful, but I'm not even sure about that. So that is the M2. And are you ready for M4? There we have the M4. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them out, compare them side by side. This is the back of the M2, the Mac Mini M2. First thing to notice is with the M4, there is a power button here in the top right on the bottom of the device. So I think that's worth noticing. Also, I think it's far more noticeable here with the M4. We can see that fan. It's far more noticeable than with the M2. Actually, these devices are identical. I think the color is the same, materials are the same, the Apple logo is the same. But then I noticed already one thing. When you look into that thickness, the M4 is quite a bit thicker. But then when you look at them in terms of real estate, we can see that the M4 is much smaller compared to the M2. So here when I measured at the Apple logo, I get a size of about 19.5 centimeters. Here we get about 12.5. So basically in terms of this dimension, we lost 7 centimeters. So when I measure it through the Apple logo, this I think we call the width also 19.5. And with the M4, 12.5. So 7 centimeters of difference. So that's huge. What already I noticed with the M2, we can see that the front is just very plain. There's just the LED indicator indicating whether the device is on or off. With the M4, as you can see right here, we have 2 USB-C ports. So this is very useful. For example, when you want to charge your Magic Keyboard with the USB-C cable, super easy to just plug it in. And then on the front, there's the LED indicator, but there's also a 3.5 millimeter audio jack, which is super easy, for example, when you want to just quickly plug in a headphone. As we can see right here, 3.5 millimeters, and you just plug it in. It's very useful. Now let's flip it over. Let's have a look at the back. We have the port for the power cable. We have the Ethernet port, HDMI, and this is all the same with the M2, so far at least. We have the power cord, we have the Ethernet connection, we have the HDMI cable. But now here comes the differences. This time around with the M4, we have 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. We only have 2 of those ports with the M2. Now we have the power button, as you can see, I think on a more practical position, because when you're working behind the Mac, just by the touch, I know where to reach the power button without needing to lift the device. You need to lift it and then you can press it. Very silly. We have the regular 2 USB-A ports, which I am really sad to see them go with the M4, because I do have some hardware laying around, even hard drives, that have the USB 3.0. So I think over time maybe I need to buy a USB-C hub. And then we have the audio jack or headphone jack, 3.5 millimeters, also to the back. And we have this big fan in the back. Definitely, I think it's super impressive to see the M4 reduce so much of the size compared to the M2. But then, I'm also very happy for including 3 Thunderbolt 4 ports. I'm also very happy to have some ports here on the front. For example, the USB-C ports and also the 3.5 millimeter audio jack or headphone ports. I am a little bit sad to see with the M4, you can see it in my unboxing video, there's a braided power cord, which I think looks absolutely amazing. And I think this is going to be more high duty. With the M2, there's just a regular power cord, which is not braided. It's just plain. I have an old issue of Time magazine, and I just want to give you some reference maybe for the old version, the M2, as well as the new version. And just for your reference, as you can see right here, in terms of the width, it's I think it's almost identical as Time magazine. We can see that the Time magazine is a little bit longer compared to the M2. Now when we compare it to the M4, we can see with the M4, it's almost a quarter of the Time magazine in terms of the size. As you can see, that's the width. There's some excess here. There's some excess here. Yeah, it's definitely smaller than half of a Time magazine in terms of the height, and in terms of the width, it's a little bit over half of the Time magazine. Another dimension, for example, this amazing movie. This is just a European standard for Blu-ray discs. We can see again another highly recommended movie, The Bodyguard, Kevin Costner, Whitney Houston. We can see that this is a bit of a thinner box. Also this one, Once Upon a Time in America, also a thinner Blu-ray box. We can see that the thickness is, let's say, 1 regular Blu-ray disc and 2 of these thinner Blu-ray discs. That's about the height of the Mac Mini M2. Now when we compare it to the M4, we can see it's actually a bit thicker. Now here we have another highly recommended box, Stanley Kubrick, and this is a very thick one because it's containing many movies. The Mac Mini M4, as you can see, it's quite a bit thicker. So that's about the thickness, is about one of these collection boxes, a regular one and a thin Blu-ray box. That's just overall a very quick comparison. M4 in terms of size as well as weight, as well as the power, the performance. I think it's a better machine. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, then you know what to do. I wish you a wonderful day. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and see you soon.